We'd like to warmly welcome everyone to this Microsoft 365 Development bi-weekly community call. My name is David Warner with Catapult Systems and a PnP team member. Today is September 16th, and we have a fantastic call in store for you today. We're going to go over the latest of all things, patterns and practices, Core SDK, Framework, PowerShell, yoteams, Microsoft Graph Toolkit, so many more. And then, of course, we're going to try the picture time. We'll see how that works today with Together Mode. And then the stars of the show, Stephen, Chris, Natalie, and Ahmad on a variety of topics from bot framework to list formatting, magic tips and tricks to more independent publisher connectors for Power Platform with a Yelp connector demo. So that's going to be pretty awesome. We look forward to that. The opportunities to participate in the community are plentiful. We invite any and all of you to demo a solution or technical pattern if you would like on these calls. We always love to see the community get more involved, so please don't hesitate. In fact, we've set up a form for you to fill out and make it a little more formally easy to get involved. So feel free to check that out. You could always contribute on GitHub. There's a number of opportunities to get more involved there. We'll talk about some of those in a moment, but you can submit, help update documentation, samples, update samples, and of course, we always love feedback, whether it's good or bad or constructive. In all cases, we'd love to hear how you think the community could be improved. So we look forward to seeing even more of your feedback. We have a plethora of links for you to take advantage of for the community. A number of videos. We have our Microsoft 365 developer videos combined with our Microsoft 365 community videos. You can get to both of those via those URLs at the bottom. As mentioned, we are an open source community. And so if you want to contribute to our repositories of code and samples and all the above, you can see all those links there for SharePoint, PnP, Office Dev, and Microsoft Graph. And then, of course, in addition to that, all the other sample galleries are available as well. Team samples, SPFX samples, Power Platform samples, extensions, list formatting, so many samples, and we'd love to see you get more involved. Of course, you can always get to all of them at one direct URL, the primary PnP landing page, aka.ms/m365pnp. One of our newer and more popular now repositories is Script Samples. So Paul Bullock, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so Script Samples is a site for sharing your or PowerShell scripts or Bash scripts that you would use to automate your tasks in 365. So we support scripts from tools such as the CLI for 365, PnP PowerShell, SPA Management Shell. We have no limit on the number of tools from scripts that we can support, but those are the primary ones that we've set up. So if there are more, then by all means raise an issue in the issues list and I can get that configured into the site to support more. We've added 3 new samplers, so thank you very much for the contributions, and all the contributions so far are super helpful in when you start up a new initiative and all these contributions coming through. So I'm super grateful for all of that. We've also added a link to the GitHub repository. So on the site, you can quickly jump to the GitHub repository so you can interact with the samples. And I've also placed around 10 sample ideas. So if you want to contribute but not sure what to do, then by all means, have a look at that for some ideas or reach out to me. So if you are looking to contribute, we have a number of, there's guidance on the site. There's also programs that we can leverage to help you and support you on your contribution journey if you would like to contribute to this repository. So back to you, David.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. Really exciting. There's a wide spectrum initiative that has a lot of opportunity for those that would like to get involved and do more in the community. All right. And of course, if you are feeling a little intimidated by getting more involved, maybe GitHub seems to be like a labyrinth that just cannot be fixed or figured out. Maybe you'd like to present, but you're a little nervous because it might be your first time. Sharing is Caring is an opportunity and a program that we provide that provides hands-on guidance. So we're going to bring you into a session with other members of the community, safe space, not recorded. You can ask any and all questions. We'll guide you through hands-on together how to do things like your very first pull request within GitHub, or if you're going to start presenting, here are some tips and tricks. If you're getting involved and just getting started in development and you want to know how to set up your workstation and use the samples, we got you there as well. So don't hesitate to take advantage of this, aka.ms/sharing is caring. And we've got the ever popular AMAs, 2 more coming up with more being scheduled. So keep an eye out for that. It's a great opportunity to get more involved with the maintainers of the initiatives within PnP. You can directly communicate with and ask questions about and collaborate with. So we're all one big community. We want to make sure we work together and collaborate. Of course, once you do contribute, we love to celebrate it. And the recognition program is fairly new for us, but it's powered by Credly. That is the same Credly that handles all of the Microsoft certification badges. So it's really exciting for you to be able to share that out and see and celebrate the various opportunities of contribution that you are making in the community. We are going to have more badges. We're working with Louisa on blog. We're working with Natalie on the connectors. We're working with so many other areas within PnP, PnP.js, script samples, so many more to recognize the individual efforts you're making. But we do need you to opt in so that we can connect you to your Credly account via your email, aka.ms/m365pnp-recognition. We'd love to celebrate you. Keep sharing those on GitHub and LinkedIn and Twitter. So awesome work. We love to see it. We have also moved that monthly call to now a weekly Tuesday call called the Microsoft 365 Platform Call. This is occurring on the 21st of September, which is the next Tuesday. Every Tuesday, you can always get the recurrent invite from aka.ms/m365-dev-call. The way that this is different, if you're wondering, from these calls is that these are primarily Microsoft employees and project owners and engineers and all of that doing these demos. So you're getting it straight from the horse's mouth, if you will, and you'll be able to see a lot more information coming directly from Microsoft. So exciting stuff. We can see there are 3 demos packed for next Tuesday. So definitely download that and take advantage of getting involved on that call as well. Next up is PnP.NET libraries, and I believe we'll hand it over to Bert.
Yes, thank you, David. On the PnP.NET side, we have 2 libraries. PnP Framework is the older one. PnP CoreSDK is the new one. Let's start with PnP Framework. We did actually one major thing is we removed the dependency on PnP CoreSDK. Both libraries were kind of tightly connected together. And the reason why we did remove this dependency is because PnP CoreSDK is now strong named. So if your project requires strong named assemblies, then the next versions will have that. Further looking at PnP CoreSDK, we now have an admin component. So there's an admin assembly, pnp.core.admin, which has a first set of administrative capabilities. More to come. Plan to move things like site collection enumeration, site collection curation, relevant tenant APIs into that library. Furthermore, we have now for modern pages support for collapsible page sections. So there's a feature that Microsoft rolled out recently. So you can kind of create a section which is collapsed and you can give the section a name, a header, and so on. So you can do that programmatically as well. And V1 for taxonomy. Those APIs, the graph taxonomy APIs are GA. So we switched to the V1 endpoint there. Furthermore, Paolo is doing a ton of work on the modernization framework, so that will come as well in the coming weeks. So that will replace the page transformation tag living in PnP framework. And release-wise, I think we're aiming at getting like the next set of releases in the coming weeks out. So that's the plan. I think we can move to PowerShell, David. I saw Erwin on the call.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Bert. Excellent. Erwin, all yours.
Yep. Yeah. So PowerShell on the surface, not much might have changed since basically before the summer, but things have changed. And if you're subscribing to the nightly releases, you notice that we're already in the 52nd nightly release. And maybe Bert and I should have a touch base and see if we can do a 1.8 anytime soon to get all the latest and the greatest that is in the core library and the core SDK and the .NET Framework version of PnP code out in PnP PowerShell. But we're starting to get it back up and running again and make some interesting changes or trial some changes. The major one that we're going to work on is the thing I announced before the summer, which is the concept of getting rid of the CSOM objects to the outside world. And we understand that it is a very heavy change, so we will not release that just in the wild and here you go, this is it. We want to do that together with the community, so there will be a session upcoming where we will talk this through with you and we want to hear your feedback and your ideas about it. But then we will get native objects behind the scenes that are being returned by the commandlets, so no dependency anymore to the outside world, at least to CSOM. But that's upcoming work. But that's it for now for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Erwin. We'll move to yoteams, and I believe Victor is on the call.
So yes, we have some really cool updates to yoteams. Most significantly, we do have a new preview release 3.3.0 today with some fantastic upgrades by the famous Sergey Sergeyev, who also created the SPFX FastServe. So he has helped us improve the performance of the client-side build down to essentially sub-second, depending on your machine, of course, but sub-second rebuilds of the client side with live reloading as well. So building or debugging, I would say, and developing applications is so much faster with preview. So if you have time, please download the 3.3.0 preview 2 and test it out. We do have some other maintenance releases for the build packages as well to fix some bugs, etc. So those will automatically, if you just use the version and then do an update, those will come in for you. So that's the big news, I would say. We also just restarted this project list a little bit as well to get better documentation, get better publicity out there as well, and get more engagement. So this is really cool. And as you all can see, the usage is continuously growing, right? So we about 1,000 downloads per month of the generator, and this is just a generator, right? So you might only install it once, and specifically if we do like releases every third month, you only install it every third month. So, but the usage of and the number of applications being scaffolded is really cool to see. Hopefully they're used in production as well. We don't measure that in here, but there's some, as I said, great. The 3.3.0, once it's out and tested fairly good enough, that's going to be one of the best releases so far. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Victor. Really cool stuff. yoteams is amazing. If you're doing Teams development, definitely check it out if you have not yet. All right, let's move over to Microsoft Graph Toolkit with Elise.
So for Microsoft Graph Toolkit, we just released version 2.3 last week. This is our first release where all the main features were contributed by the community. So thank you so much for all of your contributions and your feedback that you've provided. So this release includes a new Teams MSAL2 authentication provider. So this is going to replace our original Teams MSAL provider, and it's now based on top of MSAL browser rather than MSAL.js, and uses the more secure authorization code flow. So thank you to Simon for contributing this feature. And then the second big feature that we have is an addition of file upload to our file list component. So our file list component we released with our last release, but thanks to Andre, there's now a file upload feature that you can enable to allow your users to upload to whatever location in OneDrive or SharePoint. All the packages are available now, so please go try them out. If you have any feedback or requests or find any bugs, feel free to open an issue in our repository. As for what we're working on, right now we're kind of working on aligning to Fluent UI to build on top of their web components, as well as we're starting work on a new generic picker component, where the idea is to allow developers to pick which graph entities they want their users to be able to pick from. And we'll kind of prioritize entities as we go in a predefined list. So if you have any scenarios or any ideas around picker related scenarios, there is a PR open with the spec. So you can go check that out. It's number 1334. And you can leave comments or any feedback on that PR.
All right, cool. Thank you, Elise. Awesome stuff. Not lastly, but nextly, Microsoft Teams samples. These are another opportunity to contribute, especially if you're getting started or working within the Teams development space. Love to see your samples, love contributions. Here's one of our most recent ones by Marcus. Fantastic stuff. Really applaud the community for all the effort going in here. So please take advantage of using these as well as contributing back. Bob German is on vacation right now, so he normally would speak to this, but reach out to him if you have any questions or any member of the PnP family. Next up is Power Platform Samples with April.
Thanks, David. So Power Platform samples, you can go to aka.ms/Power Platform-samples. We accept all of your wonderful samples from anything Power Platform, from Power Apps, templates, components, connectors like Ahmad will be showing later today. You can share your connectors there, custom functions, Power Automate flow templates, Power BI, Power Virtual Agents. We want it all. We have a lot of great samples out there already, as you can see, from Power FX, custom functions, to Power Apps templates that you can plug and play and get started with. So go there, give us samples that you have to share, and we can't wait to see them.
All right, awesome. Thank you, April. Awesome stuff. Okay, let's give this a try. If you want to enable your camera, we are going to give this a shot, see if together mode is working. All right, actually, I think we might be looking good. Get Camtasia open here. All right, everybody's looking fantastic. Look at that, we're filling in. Teams is starting to work again. Yay! All right, let's give me a moment to record here. And all right, let's give everybody a wave in the community. Looking awesome, everyone. Fantastic. All right. Okay, good. Thank you all. That is awesome. Love to get that back in. It's always good to see all the faces in the community. Hopefully we can see each other again soon in real life. Now, let's move on to the exciting part of the day, demos. We're going to start with Chris with list formatting.
All right, then. So let's do it. I'm Chris, and we're going to talk about some list formatting exciting stuff. So, of course, we're going to head over to our Warrior Horses site. Now, on this site, this is where we track all sorts of things for the horses, for their battles and their wars and all sorts of lovely things. And one of the things they track, of course, is their top secret facilities. And where better to store your top secret facilities than in a SharePoint list that's open to the whole organization. Perfect. So we're going to create a new list. We're just going to create a blank list. We're going to call it our top secret facilities. Sounds good. We'll create that. And then we're going to rename that because we just put no spaces, so it didn't have it in the URL, but we'll rename it here, put some spaces there, and we'll save. Badam boom. I'm not sure that's where it's badam boom. Sounds good. All right. Now, what we're going to look at today is the location type column, right? So if we add a location for our facility, and in this case, we're just going to call it location because we're feeling super creative, right? And we're going to save that. And of course, let's populate a few of these. So we've got some data to work with. Of course, we need our Bronco Wigs Incorporated or Incorporated. That sounds great. And that's going to be located in the Sun Sphere here in Knoxville. All right. And then we're going to save that. And then let's add another one here. Just so we've got a few more. The Horse Milk Station. That sounds good. We're going to go with Yogurt Mountain. Perfect. I'm going to save that. And let's add another one here. We'll add the Explodey Laser R&D facility. And of course, that's going to be at Laser Spine Institute in Florida, as we all know. And of course, let's add one more here, and that's their mess hall, where all the horses need to get their oats and such, or apples. That sounds good, like an apple barn. And winery, yes, where the apples and wine flow like water. All right, let's save this. So now we've got this lovely thing here. Let's zoom slightly. And what can we do with this, right? So we added the location. We've got this thing here. We've got a nice hover card that'll tell us details. It's got a map. It's very cool, right? But what if we want to do some formatting on it? Or what if we want to take a look at it in different ways? Well, one of the options we noticed when we were in column settings and we were editing that, we had these additional kind of projected fields here. So if I wanted to just put those out, say, in separate columns, I could save that. And look at that. So now it takes out the details of each of those locations, kind of spreads them out here. That's cool. But what if I want to do something with formatting and I want to keep it kind of simpler? I want to keep it in one single column. So let's get rid of those extra columns for now. And let's take a look what we can do. Now there's a few different formats that apply here. And we're going to just look at how you would look at the individual properties of that location field and how you can use those in formatting. So if we go to format this column, and we're going to go a little bigger so we can see it. We'll leave the schema as is, and we're just going to add things like, an Elm type of div. All right, we're going to say In this case, we're going to put some children in there, just so we can work with it. Oh, interesting. I haven't seen that. That's new. That was nice of them to kind of start me off here. We're just going to add this as a link, and we're going to say our text content. So we're actually going to get to some stuff here. In this case, we're going to say at current field, which will be our location, but we need to get to some sub properties. So in this case, we want to say the display name. That's going to be what we're seeing here, this like the sun sphere, the yogurt mountain. And then, of course, we want to put some attributes in here. Let's go with attributes. So we can add our link, for instance. Whoop, whoop. All right, and I'm just going to copy these so we can see them here. So I've got like an href and a target and a title. And I'll go through what they are and show you how we're accessing these properties. So in this case, all we're doing here is we're building a URL to Bing Maps. And in this case, we're going to access the current field coordinates.latitude. Now, these are case sensitive, so keep that in mind. And then coordinates longitude, right? And we're just going to come build this URL. This is just a URL, and then we're going to put that coordinates in the tooltip. So let's preview that. Now we've got this lovely link, and when we hover over it, we can see our coordinates. And if we click on it, we're going to open a new tab, and we're going to go into Bing Maps to wherever, I don't remember which one we clicked on was. All right, so that's cool. So now we can start to work with coordinates. So we saw that, and we can go a little further. All right, so we can come over here and let's just add a quick thing here where I'm going to add let's add another child. And we're going to add another Elm type of, we'll say div again, because that's my favorite. Okay, and we'll say our text content. In this case, we're going to see some of the other things we could do, right? So we could do at current field, and we could say things like address. We could say street. So address.street. We preview that. We start to see that shows up. Now, if we change this slightly, so if we come up here and we put a thing here, we can fix that style issue we're having there. And we're going to solve it just with the simplest way possible, and that's with a display of block. And that should fix that for us. Let's see that. Yep, beautiful. Okay, so the idea is we have street, but we could also do things like city. Let's preview that. Or we could even do state. With the idea that we've got several properties. Again, case sensitive. So state, and of course there is, you would think maybe country, but it's not. It's country or region. We're going to preview that, and boom, there it is. Now I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste the whole thing. This is a sample that is available to you. It's called the location address in our formatting gallery. But the idea is here, I can take all of those values and I can decide how I want to do them. If I want to put some icons, I want to put some styling on this, whatever I want to do here. Maybe that is not, I want to link to Bing Maps, but maybe I want to link to an office location, right? If I'm showing various office locations, all sorts of cool things I can do with this. All right, so let's save that. We'll keep that going. But what if we wanted to do something else? Now, there are a number of samples related to maps using like Bing Maps or Google Maps. They've got various static maps, APIs, and we've got samples. And at the end here, I'll show you some links to those samples, so you can check those out. And we've shown some of those before. A lot of times they require an API key. So for this demo, I thought I'd show something a little bit different. So let's add a single line of text just for simplicity, and we're going to call this weather. Weather. And we're just going to create that. And now we're going to apply a format inside weather here. And so if we go to column settings, we're going to go format this column, and we're going to go to advanced mode. So we get our nice JSON editing screen here. And again, let's start with a div. All right, so Elm type of div. There we go. And of course, we want some style type stuff, but let's come back. I'm just going to grab. So the idea is I've picked a weather image widget. And again, I picked the one that I picked because it specifically doesn't require an API and it's totally free. But one of the complications it has is that it's United States only. So this is more of an example of what you could do, maybe not the absolute best thing you could do. Generally, you do something better with an API key, either something you're paying for or you've got a free, somebody calls, that kind of thing. But in this case, we're just going to do that. And all we're doing here is we're saying if they have a location and that location is US, then we're going to display it. Otherwise, skip it. That's all this is, and then some beautiful height and width stuff. But let's actually get to the real thing here, which is our children. We're going to put a child element here. And this element type is going to be an image. All right, and the only thing we really need on an image is our source attribute. So we do attributes, and we go down here, we go like this, and we delete that extra squiggly, and we say src for source. And in this case, we want to build a URL. So the place we're pulling this from is a site that's super old. It's weatherforyou.net. And so we're just going to build a URL to this. We're going to say equals, and then we're just going to do string building. So everything needs to go in these single quotes, and we're kind of going to build a string here. And by string, I just mean text. So it's going to be a link. So let's grab the first part of this. Is all very straightforward because it's cut and paste. And I'm just going to paste a link here. You can see it's this wonderful thing. It's going to give a PNG. It's an hourly. But now we want to put our place in. And so in this case, now we're going to keep building. All right, so now we're going to put a plus. And what do we want to build here? So in this case, we're going to reference the other column, which is called location. So we reference it like that. And then we're going to say address.city, just like we did before. But we're doing it all inside those square brackets to get the sub-properties of the column over to the left there. Since we're in the weather column, we're looking for the location column. We're going to do the city, and then we're going to plus, and we're going to ampersand, and we're going to say state equals. All right, and then we're going to plus a little more. We're going to say .location, .address, .state, and then we're going to say and country, even though it's only US, equals US. And let me make sure I've got all that over there. Okay, and then we're going to add just a little more, and that would be we want to add some colors displays, right? So in this case, they've got this idea of where you can add a background color, text display, all that kind of stuff. So for that, we're just going to paste that in. So we've got these background is transparent, and we're going to say the text is black. And then we're going to add a display value. So if we were to just render this right now as is, we'll see, woo, beautiful. I'm not sure what's going on with the Bronco Wigs Incorporated. Oh, because it's coming back to the United States. That's interesting. So we can check that here. We could say an or. All right, we can say whoop-a-doop-a-doop. A little parentheses, so you can see we've got the ands and we got the parentheses, and we'll say an or. Ooh. Oh. I'm having a good time. All right. And we'll say that, and we'll put equals United States. Right. We'll try that. There we go. So now we've covered that condition as well. How fun. All right. So now we'll come down here, and what we can do is now we're showing Tampa, Florida. We're just showing kind of the city where it's located by default with this API, but it does provide one other property, and that's this, we could say ampersand, because we're just building query strings here. Ampersand HWV display, right? And then we're going to say equals, and once again, we're going to say a plus. Nope, not inside there. There we go. Outside the quotes, plus, and we're going to say location dot display name. Again, all caps on the it's kind of camel or whatever it's called there. Okay, let's preview that. There we go. Beautiful. All right, so we can see it's a little big on our column. We'll drag that over. But the idea here is we can use all sorts of different properties of this location. If we want to generate this as a link, directly to like weather.com or something else, we can get that. But the idea is this will update whenever your list item refreshes or your list itself refreshes. So if something updates here, it's going to go and call this again and go get the new image, get the new weather, and so on. So that's pretty cool. That's one way to do this. So there's a lot of different, what we call kind of static image APIs. You can use, again, we've got like the static maps from Google Maps and Bing as well you can build, but there's various other ones there. We've got lots of samples of this, and they all kind of do the same thing. You're going to build a source for the image, and then you're just going to take various properties. And in this case, we've got a lot of rich properties we can pull. So that's really cool. All right, and finally, let's wrap it up here and just take a look. Just to review, these are all the different properties. And again, I've got this as an @current field if you're applying it to the location field itself. But if not, just swap out this part with that the internal name of your column. And you get all these things. The location URI is a Bing Maps entity and does require kind of an API connection. So generally, this isn't going to be super helpful, but it's there. So take a look at it. All right, so resources for you. Check out the full documentation, which has all the things I just showed you. But these are the two samples that really use the location column and give you an idea of how you could use those various sub-properties, so the address and weather samples. But then these are some that also show mapping throughout there. And that's all I got.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Very cool stuff. All right, Steven.
Thanks. So what I'm gonna demo today is how to build a Teams task module using Bot Framework Composer. So for those of you who don't know what Composer is one of the newest additions to the Bot Framework ecosystem, where you can actually build a bot without writing too much code. At least there's some opportunity to write code, but you don't need to be a hardcore dev to write your whole bot logic and all of that stuff using either .NET or JavaScript or whatever. So you can use Composer as a more or less GUI for sketching out your bot's logic, the dialogues, and team-specific actions in there as well. So if you're not familiar with Composer, just hit it aka.ms/pf composer, download it, and you're good to go. So first things first, what I'm going to do now is open up Composer. It comes with a little intro screen, shows you all of the bots you've already created. For this demo, I'm going to go ahead and create a new one. As you can see in here, there are a lot of templates for C# and Node.js, which you can pick and choose from. We go with the core bot with language template, select next, use some folder you want to create it in, and then just click on create. And while it's creating, what it actually does now is scaffolding out the whole project. So Composer actually creates a new folder in there with the project files in there and everything, which is part of the template. And while it's creating and scaffolding the project, I'm going to switch over to the Azure portal because I've prepared a little bit to have all of the bits and pieces connected together beforehand before we actually sketch out our bot. So I've already gone into the Azure portal, created the new Azure bot, which was called Bot Channel Registration Service beforehand. So we'll need that to have our bot as well as the task module be running in Microsoft Teams. So I've already created that. I've already enabled the Microsoft Teams channel in there, as you can see. So my Azure bot service is already waiting for us to be running in Microsoft Teams. So that should be good. And as we switch back to Composer, it's now building the runtime. So it takes a little while, as I said. It's getting the new templates on the fly, building everything, merging the packages together. And within a couple of minutes, it should be good to go. And hopefully my machine is not that as slow as Teams is today. So we should be good to go with our bot in a couple of seconds. Yeah, getting there. Now it's there. Good. So as we can see, we have chosen a template which already states us that we need to set up language understanding, so we'll do so. I've already created a new LUIS service within Azure. So what it actually does now is it's asking me to authenticate to my Azure account to grab all the keys by itself. So don't mistype my password. I should be able to sign in. Then it should actually let me choose from my Azure subscription the language understanding resource name. So it's loading the keys. As of now, we can pick one of the LUIS keys and then it pastes it in, as we can see in here. The other thing we'll need to run our bot in the end in Teams is the app ID and app secret. So I'll paste that in, and then we should be good to go. So the first thing we will need is to add a new package to our bot from the package management console in here. So there are a lot of packages in there. If you'd like to, if you feel something is missing in there, you can just add a new package through the Bot Framework Community repo. And as we are building a Teams task module, we'll add the new Teams package to our bot. So actually we're pulling out or pulling in a new package into our bot project, which gets then installed and which then adds additional features to our bot as well as to Composer or to the UI of Composer. So now we should be good to go with the packages. And as we see, we have a pretty basic bot which comes with a lot of intents in there, greeting, cancel, help, and stuff like that. And as we want to build a new assistant for us who should be capable of ordering pizza for us, we'll add a new intent in there, or a new trigger of type intent recognized. So language understanding comes into play, which is called order food. And we'll paste in some sample utterances like I want to order pizza or can I order pizza and stuff like that, to make our language understanding service aware that these types of phrases should be connected to the order food intent. And in there, what we want to do next is display a hero card. So hero card is more or less similar to an adaptive card, but not that rich in functionality. So in order to do that, we'll send a new response whenever someone wants to order food. And within the bot responses, we say we want to attach something, or we want to add a new attachment to that response. We can select create from template and select hero card. And then in there, we'll just paste in a new hero card. So it comes with the subtitle, and it comes with one button in that instance. And in order to use that button, we'll need to add something to our language generation template. And I'll just quickly remove all the text responses. So we'll make sure that just the hero card gets displayed. So we're gonna basically go to our bot responses. As you can see in here, this is the language generation part of it. So we'll make sure to add something to our core with language template. Scroll down to the bottom, and I've already prepared something, which is a template for a new hero card, where you can actually on the fly paste in attributes or properties. And we'll see in here, this is our button we have included in our hero card. And within that button, we see there's a new action of type task fetch. So this basically makes teams aware that whenever someone clicks that button, the task module should be fetched, and the task module action should be run. So in that case, task /fetch basically indicates teams that a new task module or a specific task module should be fetched and should be presented to the user. So if we switch back to the dialog, what we can do next is adding a new trigger to our bot. And this time we won't select intent recognized, but we'll select Microsoft Teams as the type of trigger. And then we go with on task module fetch, because we need to respond within the bot's logic to the click of the button. So we'll select on task module fetch. And as we have set an ID for our button, we can go ahead and add a new condition to that. And in that condition, we can say if the button ID is order fetch, we want to execute the logic which comes next. So task module fetch basically indicates we want to fetch the task module, and we'll need to do something with that fetch. So we're gonna go ahead and select send a new task module card response. And within that new task module card response, we basically can say we want to send an either adaptive card or hero card or whatever. You could also go ahead and send a new more or less iframe if you'd like to. So you can basically send or respond with a web view of your own HTML. Oops. I need to copy and paste the whole thing without losing some brackets to make it work. So I've already prepared my adaptive card beforehand, and that should basically be it. So we added a new adaptive card attachment to our task module response, give it a title, or the food or something like that. You can then say you want to limit the height and width of that adaptive card, which gets then popped out in the Teams client, and that should be That should be good to go. Let's just start ng-rock for a second and then give it a go and run our bot. And after a couple of seconds, the bot should be up and running. And if we're gonna then switch to Teams, I've already prepared my Teams app with the bot I've shown earlier. So I have a new Teams application in there running with the bot. And when it's has started, we could potentially, let's just minimize the window so we'll see everything in here. We could potentially start communicating with that bot. Yeah, somehow Teams is eating up my CPU, I guess. So now it started. If we're gonna go ahead and select I guess it should greet us. At least I see the incoming request on my ng-rock terminal. Okay, at least it's responding. And if I then go ahead and say I want to order pizza, we should get the hero card as said. So that's the hero card, the first part. With the button, when clicking the button, we should be represented with the adaptive card. So everything in here is the adaptive card, which actually lets us pick and choose from a pizza type. And then we could order, but order actually does not do anything in here yet because we haven't responded to the on task module submit action. So we need to go back, add another trigger of type Microsoft Teams on task module submit. And then what we can do is we can respond to that submit with a new task module message response. So we'll stay within the task module. And what we can do then is say, thanks for ordering a pizza, whatever type of pizza the user orders. So we restart that and just going back to the adaptive card. We should see somewhere in here that this is the ID pizza type. So that's basically a property within the adaptive card, which we've set. And if we've done everything right on restarting the bot, going back to Teams, click on order pizza again. Task module fetch is now kicking in. Then we can select pizza type. And if we click order, task module submit action will be triggered, and then bot actually responsive with thanks for ordering a pizza. So you can basically grab information through a task module from an adaptive card, paste it back to the bot, and then handle something within the bot's logic. So you can reach out to an API or whatever. That's about it for the demo. If you'd like to follow along, bizzer.io, there's a complete tutorial with that sample in there. So if you'd like to do the same, just feel free or ping me. Thanks.
Awesome stuff, Stephen. Really, really cool. I pasted his links in the chat. Stephen, by the way, I'll be putting in my order for lunch here shortly through your bot. So really cool.
Thanks.
And I'm hungry for pizza. All right, Natalie and Ahmad, updates to the independent publisher connectors for Power Platform and a very cool Yelp connector demo. It goes nicely with the pizza theme. Take it away, Natalie.
Awesome. Thanks, David. Hi, everyone. Glad to be back here again for the second time in a row. So again, independent publisher connectors are connectors that are built by anyone, whether you're an MVP or not an MVP. Anyone can build this and submit this as an official connector to the Power Platform, which is pretty awesome. We automatically deploy them to Power Automate, Power Apps, and Logic Apps, and users do not need to download anything extra. They can just use them out of the box with a premium license. And so since last time, we still have 15 connectors in production. However, 3 of them, Jira Search, Etsy, and Secure Code Warrior, have updates that are queuing right now to these connectors. So even though they've been deployed, again, you can always come back and add updates, whether you're the publisher or you're part of the community. It still counts as a contribution, which is fantastic. We still have Airtable, HubSpot CRM, and Jira Search as the top 3 most used independent publisher connectors. Pretty exciting. Airtable actually has more than 200 connections. It's just fantastic. So we're really happy to see this, and Woong is very happy as well. And so in addition to that, we have a total of 17 connectors in the pipeline. So this is within the certification pipeline. So, this sometimes it's super quick and it takes 2 weeks to go through the pipeline. Sometimes it takes slightly longer, depending on, if there were any issues with the connector during the validation stage or something else had come up, right? So there's that back and forth between Microsoft and the publisher. So basically, some of them have been in the pipeline for a bit. But there are also 2 new submissions, one Free Agent by Nirmal, who is a first-time contributor, which is fantastic, and EONet by NASA by Troy, and I believe Troy's on the call today. So hello, Troy. Those are 2 new in our pipeline. And AccuWeather, which is one that Ahmad has actually also built, is going to be available soon. It's already in the deployment phase, so we'll see it definitely by next week, anywhere in the Power Platform. In addition to just the number of connectors in our pipeline and those that are in production, we do have our first monthly coffee next week at 8 a.m. PT. I believe it does conflict with one of the weekly PnP calls, but this is just once a month. We're definitely not going to do this, but we just found that this is the best time for both the publishers, engineers, and anyone is free to stop by. If you're interested in learning a little bit more, feel free to put your name down in the chat, let me know, call me out, and I'll send over that invite. We're starting small, right? And then we're going to start growing and growing in that monthly coffee. And, whether you need engineering help, right? Whether you need help building a connector, finding a connector to build that you think would really help you get on the leaderboard or help you become super popular within the Power Platform, or just want to stop by to learn more about the program and ask questions, you're always welcome to do so. So those are all my updates. I'm going to pass it on to Ahmad.
Right on. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the Yelp Independent Publisher Connector. And because this is the first time, I just want to introduce myself. So my name is Ahmed Najjar. You could call me Ahmad. Feel free to call me Ahmad. I won't be offended. I know it's difficult to pronounce. And you call me the Flow Jedi. Based in Oslo, Norway, I'm a Power Platform architect and a business applications MVP since 2017. Independent publisher, connector, project coordinator. So I work closely with Natalie most of the time. So we have the monthly call and all those calls. In addition to that, I'm also a publisher. So I published a couple, and there's also a couple in the pipeline at my end. I'm a passionate, enthusiastic developer, heart and soul. Over 15 years of experience working basically with Microsoft-based technologies, but I've been working with SharePoint for over 15 years. So I come from the SharePoint side of things. Over 5 years of experience working in the Power Platform, started doing sessions on the Power Platform and evangelism for the Power Platform since 2016. My first session was in 2016 about Microsoft Flow. Back then it was called Microsoft Flow. And I've also worked with Logic Apps because of the similarity of it, between the Logic Apps and Power Automate. So I've been working with that. Because I'm a developer, of course, I'm going to be introduced to the stuff in Azure. Also events and hackathons organizer. And this is my Twitter handle. Please feel free to follow me on Twitter. And I do respond to Twitter. I'm very active on Twitter more than the other platforms. All right. So what is Yelp? So Yelp allows you to connect to businesses or content or points of interest in your local businesses across 32 countries. So it's not available in all countries, but there's a list of countries that it is available in. And if you want to search for specific businesses or specific items that you want to buy or purchase, whether it's content, whether it's points of interest, whether it's even like pizza or burger, so you could do that and search for that, and it will return the businesses that serves or sells those items. So for the Yelp connector, what I've done, I've actually created the Yelp connector based on those services that you see here, which is find business matches, get business details, get reviews, and search business phones, search businesses, and autocomplete. And all those are actually published and in production as we speak right now. There are other endpoints. If you want to add to the connector, feel free. It's an open source. If you want me to add them, just provide your feedback on GitHub. I'll get back to that, and I'll just schedule when I could push them as well as part of this connector. For this demo that I am going to show you in a minute, I only use the get business details, get reviews, search business phones, and search businesses. I didn't use the find business match or the autocomplete. But basically, all of them works ever since that they are in production. They are tested. So demo time. Let's go and see it. Let me just bring up my demo. So it's actually, my demo is in Power Apps. So I am going to start my Power Apps. This is just pretty much simple. Before we go into the app, just wanted to show you that right out of the gate, you could just add those connectors from here, and you will find them, or you'll search for those connectors in here if you want to add data, or you add the connectors. So we have the Yelp connector, which is the one that we have here, but we also have something that is called the open cage geo coding, which is something that you will find in the near future in a repository near you, probably. I will be working on that to make this available as well as part of the independent publisher connectors. But what this does, because I want this app to be working cross countries and cross cities, so I've added this, so it will take your longitude and latitude, and then it will return the city, so where you're based. So whether I don't want it to hard code, like for example, Oslo, where I'm based, or Stockholm, or Copenhagen. So instead of that, I've used the open case, so it returns the city. So once I do that, so you'll have the city, and then you'll search for the businesses. So I'll just run that up. And then I'll click on business search, and it will return a list of items, generic list of items. And ever since that, David and Stefan, they already started with the pizza frenzy. I'll do the same as well here. So we'll find some places in Oslo that serves pizza. And this is actually ordered by rating, as you can see here. And this is actually the categories that's listed. So this is pizza Italian. This looks fine. And it's just 5 stars. Let's go see it. And then when you go there, I've used the get reviews, so you'll get the reviews for that specific business, and then you'll have some other details that are not available as part of the search, like for example the address, the city, and all that. Is it pricey or not? And all those things are actually included in the overall rating for that, and the rating as well that is given based on the users. So from there, you can see that this is open, and it actually gives you like live updates. And this is as part of the details as well. So this is going to turn red if this business is closed as we speak. But if it's open, this will actually be green. So I'll just copy this for our next demo, and let's just get back here to the home page and go to search. And then when I paste this, this basically just shows exactly the same business. When I open this up, we're back again here to the same business. So it's kind of like, 2 ways to search your businesses. So whether by the phone or whether by, point of interest. So you could just simply put here, like, for example, burgers. You could just put pizza, conferences, whatever you please. You could put here. And of course, there's a lot of properties that are supported, or dynamic content that is returned by the service. But basically, this is what I've seen that you could add as part of this application. So this is pretty much for the demo. But what I want to share finally is the links, which is something that you'll probably find useful. If you want to go and know about what is Yelp or how it works, you could just go to the website there. There's also developers, section there. You could just go check it out. And as well, there's some documentation from Yelp themselves, which is the Fusion API. You could just go check it out. There's also the connector documentation, which is the one that I've provided to Microsoft as part of this connector. But I hopefully it's useful. But if you want to go see the API and go dig deep into those properties and stuff for the API itself, you could just go check the Fusion API. And finally, last but not least, the connector itself on GitHub. You could just go there, just provide, feedback or whatever. So you have the link over there. And that's for me tonight. I think that most of you are hungry at the minute because me and Stefan talked about pizza and David wanted to order pizza and I'm hungry myself. So I'll hand it back over to you, David.
Awesome stuff. This is really, really cool. Love to see all the community collaboration and how you're setting this up to make it functional and useful in the real world. All right. Now I know what's going to be on the menu for us when we all get back together at another event. Let's get back to the slides and wrap it up. The recording will be available within 24 hours, and a huge thank you to all of our presenters, Chris, Stefan, Natalie, and Ahmad. Awesome stuff. Love to see it. Keep them coming. If anybody else wants to demonstrate as well, again, please reach out. You can always find them at aka.ms/m365pnp/videos. You can follow on Twitter, Microsoft 365 Dev or M365 PnP. The next general dev call will be 2 weeks from today, same bat time, same bat channel, September 30th at 7 a.m. Pacific. The next SharePoint Framework call will be next week, 1 week from today, September 23rd at 7 a.m. Pacific. You can always get to all of the links and community calls via M365 PnP and these additional links as well. For the platform call weekly, again, next Tuesday, Adaptive Cards, Microsoft Identity Platform, Office Add-ins, Power Apps, 365 Dev, and Framework IG calls bi-weekly. So thank you all again for an amazing call today. Able to see some amazing demos. Thank you all again. We'll see you next week.